Welcome to Planning Phase Syndicate. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. We have an amazing episode planned for you. It is episode 14. We're going to be talking about rules, some new comprehensive rules update. We also have set 3 previews somehow. I don't know how, but they're giving us set 3 previews. Set 2 just dropped, and we're now got set 3 previews. We're going to be talking a little bit about scanning officer and smuggling and what you could do with your resources, because it was a question that seemed to come up a couple times during basically during our opening pre-release weekend and opening weekend. And then if that's not enough, I got a couple of lists for you. Each of the guys have thrown a list together, and we decided we're going to share with you kind of some of the lists that we have been playing lately. With that being said, I'm going to bring in my co-host for tonight. Please welcome to the podcast, JJ, the thank God you're not wearing a Giants hat tonight. Gridiron, how are you tonight, sir?
I'm doing all right. I finally back home in Florida after a very, very, very long time away between work and vacation. My hat is not on me currently because it is completely dirty and it has to get rewashed before I can put it back in all its glory. But yeah, it's good to be home. And man, I need to go out and get my starters. I've been so busy between driving and everything that I need to go get my starters from my local and pray that I can find some additional booster packs because I'm itching to open some new boxes, man.
Awesome. Also joining me tonight is Alex, the bench warmer. How are you tonight, sir?
I'm doing okay. Song Long Legs, that was pretty fun. Got my 1 box I ordered from Miniatures Markets, and they sent me 2, so that's kind of cool too.
You got 2 for free or 1 for free?
I got 1 for free. Yeah, they sent me 2 individual boxes of 1, so that's definitely like some sort of crazy error they had. Because I don't know, maybe they just assumed that everyone who ordered from them ordered the maximum of 2 boxes. I just ordered 1, but I got 2, so
that's
cool.
That's really nice.
Can't
you got
complain
2
about
boxes.
that.
Yeah, free shit is free shit, right?
So, yeah.
Well, awesome. I had a good weekend too. I was gone on vacation for a little over a week. I did miss opening all my boxes until last night. I got to open 1 box that I found in the wild, and there's a video up. If you haven't seen it, there is a video up on our channel of me unboxing a box. If you want to see it, cool. If you don't, it's whatever. I don't know. People do it and they like it. I don't know. To me, it just makes you feel like, oh, I wish I had gotten that card. But the box didn't have anything amazing in it, so it wasn't like I pulled like a showcase out of that at all. But I did pull a showcase out of another box. I got a Jabba the Hutt showcase. I don't know if I should sell it, if I should hold it. Like, I probably should just sell it. If people really want to give like $700 for that one, I guess that's what you do, right? You just sell it for that much. I don't know. So it seems a little weird to me. I might just keep it. That's one of the leaders I actually said I would play if I got it. So it's kind of hard for me to want to sell it. But at the same token, if $700 more than covers what I spent. So, I don't know. With that being said, we've opened quite a few boxes. I am down to a small list. I need 2 rays. Somehow I cannot pull any rays at all. So I'm down to 2 rays, it seems.
Don't even get me started. Blue legendaries, man. I have 4 of each. And an additional Mando. I have 5 Mandalorians.
That's crazy. We got 4 Mandalorians, one of them being a hyperspace.
Mine's not even a hyperspace or foil. I just drew 4 or 5. It's unreal. Sorry.
No, you're fine. No, I'm also missing Kylo silencers, and now I'm only missing 1 Snoke. So my son texted me tonight. He's like, "Oh, I found a box and you said it open." I'm like, "What are you doing? Why did you buy another box? We don't need another box." Well, he pulled a Kylo unit hyperspace foil card, a regular Kylo card, a Snoke card, a evacuate card, and he had something else. Oh, then he also got a hyper space, which I don't care about this one, but he got a hyperspace second chance, which I don't have one of those, so I know somebody named Ryan that will trade for me, I'm pretty sure, if he doesn't have it. And then he got a finalizer too on top of that in 1 box, and I was like, what the heck?
Nice.
One of my locals, Rob, he opened his first box. He had 7 legendaries and a Java showcase.
Oh, wow.
In one box.
That's insane. That's just crazy.
He pulled 2 more showcases in 5 more boxes after that.
Yeah, which is crazy because like the pre-release kits seem kind of cracked. Like the pre-release kits we were getting at least one legendary per kit almost for almost all of them. Not every, and they weren't the great legendaries, right? Like one of them we got 2 in. We got 2 finalizers in one pack, one time. Because one was a foil.
My first 5 pre-release boxes. I hate you.
Yeah. Well, I have some extra legendaries to sell you, Alex, if you would like some. I know you have a Snoke. We got to work out a trade for you, that Snoke. I do need another Snoke, so I only officially have 1, maybe 2. I don't know.
0 silencers and dark sabers.
Yeah, and I have 0 silencers as well. I do have dark sabers, but I don't have extra ones of those yet. So yeah, so now I have 2. So if anybody wants them, I have 2 hyperspace foil Kylos. Like I don't know what the going rate is for them, but like I will happily sell one or trade for like some Snokes. I know Zach. I shouldn't do this. Zach got a hyper foil Snoke, and I was so jealous because he got that out of his pre-release kit, and I was like, oh my god, dude! Like holy crap! Like good for you, man. But I don't have one of those. I'm not really chasing. I am chasing hyperspace cards, but not as much for legendaries. The legendary ones I don't care about, personally. But I have been taking hyperspace cards of rares and stuff like that, like stuff that I'll play. Like I don't have any hyperspace Jabba's Rancor, but I need 3 of those. I think just because like probably gonna play a Jabba deck now, you know. So I probably was gonna play a Jabba deck before anyway, because Jabba has been almost as fun as Pelp had been. And it's taken, there's a Discord I'm in, and like I posted a thread, I don't know, 2 months ago, month and a half ago about Pelp Red, about how we've had great success with this deck. And nobody commented. And finally somebody started a thread yesterday. And I immediately typed in, I was like, hey, I've been playing this deck for 3 months now. Like I have a buddy, he's also been playing this deck for 3 months, and we're not using the Force unit deck that everybody loves. This is a straight up non-Force unit deck outside. I guess Vader technically is, but he's
Vader
not there
and
for
Palpatine have Force technically, but like those are your huge drops, right? So that's why you're run Force cards in there.
Yeah. So I don't know. So it was a fun weekend. I was on vacation in where was I at? Ascoda. That's where I was. Ascoda. We got like a house on the beach. It's cheaper, by the way, if you want to go to the east side of the state than it is the west side of Michigan. So if you're thinking of ever coming to Michigan and you want to rent a house on the beach, go to the east side. And the lake wasn't too bad. I was a little surprised. It's not as warm as Lake Michigan is, but like even this time of the year, it wasn't as bad as it could have been. I mean, we went out to the lake every day, but like one day. And I went in 3 out of those days. So one of the days I did, 2 of the days I did not go in. But other than that, we went like almost every day down there. And that was super fun. The kids had a lot of fun. It was really hard to not talk about Unlimited at all. Like it was really hard. Like you could ask Alex. I think I texted Alex maybe like 4 or 5 times, and that's it. Like usually like I text Alex every day to talk about like, all right, is this a stupid idea? And that type of thing. And this time, like I didn't get to do any of that. So, wow. Why don't we begin with the news? Let's do our Galactic Gazette news and spoilers segment. So for our Galactic Gazette news and spoiler segment, we essentially there is a couple of things. The first thing is, and this is a super quick, easy one. If you ordered from Asmodee and they gave you your 1 box you ordered, you got a Grogu with it. That was the free promo thing that they gave away, was an event exclusive card. My assumption is you got it because the fact that they couldn't ship you all the boxes you ordered. That's my assumption, is why they did that. It's a little sad because that's going to make that card a little bit less rare. But it's weird. We had those in our we had those for our locals, and like my son won 2 of them in one weekend. So I won 1, he won 2, so now we have 3. We have a full play set. So, but anyway, if you wanted to know what Asmodee was sending out, that's what they're sending out. There's a big exclusive, and this is crazy. They're doing an exclusive 2024 convention pack only at 5 locations: San Diego Comic-Con, which if you don't have tickets to that, good luck getting tickets to that. Gen Con, I don't know how to say the next one, but it's German, some German event.
Spiel Essen.
Spiel. Yeah,
All
Spiel
right.
Essen.
PAX West and PAX Unplugged. I have tickets to none of these, and they're limiting people. Essentially, you are limited now to buying one of these packs, and that's it. And they're going for $100 a piece. But they have exclusive alt art cards, which I whoever posts on the normal Discord, whoever posted those pictures, they all had this like weird glare that made them look like hyperfoil type cards, and I didn't understand what they were at all. And I went on the actual SWU website, and they have real cards. They have the actual images of these. So I don't know if these are going to be hyperfoils. I'm guessing that's why those glares were on there. So I don't know if these are going to be hyperfoils. I don't remember them saying. I'm sure this will come up in the stream this week. They will talk about this week, I'm sure. But as you can see, they have alternate versions of Count Dooku, Darth Vader, and Palpatine, which I really just want to drive to Gen Con to buy one of these packs, just for the Palpatine. But
I think you and I are the only ones that want that Palpatine.
probably, and you know what? If they want, if that means those things go for like less than $20, I'll buy. Alex, I'll buy you. I'll buy 2 of them. I'll buy you 1, and I'll buy me 1, and then we could just run it in our Pelt decks. You can have the damn card.
Sick.
Yeah. And if they're a hyper, I mean, I don't know. This card, like, I would not pay $100 for this card. Just folks, so if you're thinking of messaging the show and saying, "Hey Tanner, I've got an extra one of these. You want it for $100?" I'm not going to pay $100 for it. I might trade you a hyperfoil Kylo, though. That I might do for one of them, but probably not. I don't know. So anyway, this looks dope. Like, you can see the color is only on the skin, obviously, and a little bit of his cloak, and then the lightning that comes out. I don't know. It looks, to me, this card looks amazing.
Like, all of them are monochrome, which looks sick, and then like, yeah, the characters and whatever they're holding are colored in.
Yeah.
Yeah, my only complaint is that the aspects aren't colored in, so I have to actually pay attention to the symbols. That's my only complaint. But
all right,
the work is just on point. Like,
that's fair. That's fair. What's the probability that anybody's going to actually run anyway? Right? Like are they going to actually run that card in a deck? Like, if you paid $100 for a pack, those cards are going to be worth a fortune. I bet you. I don't know. Somebody was saying they believe that these cards will be worth $700-800 for all of them.
Oh, I was going to put them all in my deck.
Okay.
Because they're cool, and I want to play with them. That's the whole reason why I bought them.
Oh, did you already buy a pack? Do you have a pack?
No, but like,
I
okay, wish.
Okay. Oh, okay.
But like, if I were to get them, like, that'd be they're super cool. That's considering packs unplugged.
Well, let me know, actually, because I'm also considering it, because it gives me 6 months to save money to go there. Though it is right after Set 3 release, so I don't know.
Oh boy.
Set 3 releases in November. I don't know. But I'm also very down if you are willing, if you are looking to go. I don't know, JJ, didn't you have like family that lived out there too?
No, they lived in DC, in the DC area.
Okay.
I ended up having to, when I went last year, I ended up staying at an Airbnb over there and travel, but it was like $120 for 2 days worth of parking. So that was pretty steep.
Well, maybe the guys from Yaxby, maybe we could go stay at Pete's house. All right.
That'd be awesome.
I hear, because especially if they're gonna do you know if that one is a X-wing thing down there as well?
I believe so. Yeah, they should have a GT there too. Yep.
I don't know, Alex. It feels like we could like do double commit. We could go play X-wing at a GT, That's probably the closest one to us outside of Canada. And we could go play unlimited, and we could each go buy our pack. I'm all for this. Like I'm ready.
Money I don't have, but
All
we'll
right.
see.
All right. Let's move on. They also have the Kylo unit, but the interesting ones, the reason I wanted to talk about this tonight, not just because they look cool, is because we have 2 set 3 release cards. For whatever reason, they're giving us 2 set 3 release cards ahead of time. And both of them are new. Right? So the first one is Asajj Ventress. Alex, what does Asajj do?
So this is her unit. It is red and black. She costs 4. She's a 4 Separatist and Sith. So she's a 2/4 with exploit 2, which we don't know what it does yet. And then on attack, if you've attacked with another Separatist unit this phase, this unit gets +3/+0 for this phase. Not even just for the attack, just for the whole phase.
Yeah. So, what do you think exploit does? Let's just. I'm gonna ask because I want to know. We're gonna take way too early 3-month in advance opinions on exploit, unless they tell us this week. What do you think it is? Go ahead, JJ.
Alex.
Go on. No,
You look like
you.
You're
you
ready.
got-
So for me, based on her stat line, it feels like exploit 2 is that you're going to decrease your health by that number to increase your attack by that number. And it kind of makes sense, right? The Sith are very aggressive. They'll sacrifice their defense in order to be more aggressive. So I think that's what exploit would be.
All right, Alex. Alex, what do you think it is?
Oh man, so like I don't know, because like it could be like a reference to their attack, like you might be able to reduce their attack by like 2 or something, or reduce their health because like you're exploiting their defense, or you're going to be exploiting your own resources and you pay that much to do something. I have zero idea. There's so much like just random design space in here that you can do. It could be like overwhelm without base damage. Who knows?
That would be interesting if it was overwhelm without base damage.
You
I
just
think
do
that
it
would
to,
be
like something else, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I would do that. Let's see here. I think I can't remember where I said this is what I told my son when I saw this. I said, I'm guessing it does damage to a unit that did damage to your base. So for example, she would, if you swung with a Separatist unit, she would get the +3. She would then swing, and then she would get to do 2 damage to anybody that's done damage to your base. He told me that's way too strong. That there's no way that could be printed on a card, especially like for something like at 4 cost, right?
So if you notice, oh sorry.
Go ahead. Nope. Go ahead.
Okay. So if you notice, like Vader and Kylo are both legendary units, right? And Dooku and Palpatine are rare units. So if they continue following that trend, Asajj, I would assume, would be like the rare unit, and Maul would be like the legendary unit, which would be kind of cool. 3 legendaries, 3 rares.
Yep. So you think she would be the rare unit?
Yeah, I feel like Maul, although not like crazy, it's just that ability. I mean, we already have a rare Maul, right? So maybe they just want to switch that one to legendary to easily just differentiate, or if they don't want that that ability too common in the game, kind of thing. So
yeah. My son thinks that it would be essentially you could either possibly reduce the damage dealt back to her, or it could be like a sacrifice mechanic, kind of like what JJ said. So that makes a little bit of sense, kind of self-sacrifice. I don't know, like, I mean, you are correct. It is silly. I don't know what exploit means in other parts of the game, but to me, it just seems like if you make it, it's got to be something completely different than what we already have. Otherwise, why give it a keyword, right? Like, you could just say she does 2 damage to this and blah, 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 blah. I don't know.
But that's not stackable. And then exploit is, because the numbers come after it. So maybe there's a whole mechanic around that.
Could be, yeah. Then we also have Maul. JJ, what does Darth Maul do? And why does he have his legs still?
So he is a 5 cost, looks like red and villainy aspect. He has keywords force and Sith. Comes in with 5 attack, 5 health, and it reads this unit can attack 2 units instead of 1. Which can be extremely powerful, especially if you end up like equipping it with like fallen lightsaber, and have like a shield unit on him, so that way he can essentially ignore the first damage that he gets. Maul just has a ton of applications, very comparable to like Darth Vader. So,
yep. They also had a clarification. They have not told us what exploit is. I guess I should go check my Twitter. I tweeted at them, but they do. Not. Okay, they do have a clarification on his attack, and it says Tyler said, on attack with 2 targets, he deals his full damage to both. So he does not separate it. He doesn't take 5 and do 3 to one and 2 to another. He does 5 to each of them and receives all damage back.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a moisture farmer killer.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, could you imagine? Oh my God. To me, that's crazy. I do kind of agree. I think has to be the legendary. Unless exploit is off the charts insane. That Maul has to be the legendary, because that's pretty big. Like, you can hit 2 units and still live.
Yeah, it's kind of like Leia's ability. Like, where you're just like, cool, I do 2 attacks for the price of 1 attack.
Yeah.
But you don't have to be, obviously, a lot different when you're just a unit.
Yeah, it's 1 unit though that does this. Like, I don't know. Like, that's crazy to me. And Tyler also said there's other things that we're gonna see in this set that could affect this. So I don't know. And I would assume yes, he has to survive the attack to do the second attack. I'm sure they'll explain that. I don't see how he could get away with it, because we've never had that part of the mechanic before. So like, usually a unit has to survive to be able to do the second attack.
I don't see why he would have to live through that. It doesn't say if he survives attack, do another attack. Like,
because it says
you could easily just print that on the card.
I guess, because this one says the unit can attack 2 units instead of 1. So I assume they're 2 separate attacks.
I would assume that they are 2 separate attacks, but they're done simultaneously.
Yeah.
So he would essentially suffer both damages at the same time when he is dealing both damages at the same time.
If that's the case, then he's definitely the legendary, and it feels broken, a little broken.
Because remember, he takes damage back from both attacks, so you'd think that it would be like a simultaneous thing, and not one after another.
Okay, so then now the question comes to the Fallen Lightsaber. When you attack with Fallen Lightsaber, which is his lightsaber, by the way, right? And you attack with it, it does 1 damage to a ground unit. So does that do 2 damage to each ground unit?
Yes.
Does it do that before he does his attacks?
No,
so like,
it's an on-attack, so it does 1 damage to all the ground units. I say you're not performing 2 attacks, you're just hitting 2 targets.
You're just doing exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't know. This card seems really good. Like, that seems like a really good Maul, and I hope I pull him in my packs.
Yeah, I've already played with this a few times with people proxying the card, and this particular unit is super, super strong. I mean, like, I almost want to, like, I've been playing a lot of like capture mechanics on some of my cards, and I always hold 1 in reserve for the threat of this card coming out and essentially wiping out my board. It is super strong when it comes out.
All right. Well, anyway, that was fun. I'm very weirded out. We've got set 2 or set 3 spoilers already, though. Like, I don't know. That's crazy to me. I mean, I guess you had to do it because they're in that pack, but
you think they'll do a light side one for another event in like 2025?
Yes, I do. 100%.
Like Luke and Rey and Obi and all that.
Yeah.
Ahsoka probably, because that's the counterpart to Asajj. So.
Yep. I agree with you. I think we'll get that. The question is are we going to get anything from the Asajj book in the next set, right? Like, I don't. Well, Alex, you don't read any of the media, but JJ does.
I can't even read.
Yeah.
In general.
All right. Maybe we should have Alex on the show. He can't even read what we write him. He's
perfect for an NCX captain. I'll say that.
All right. Well, let's move on. Let's do our 4 cost segment. I want to deal with that next. And I apologize if you're not a video viewer. Join us on Twitch every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. We do a live show. You can watch us live, make fun of ourselves, and be embarrassed by what decks we brought. With 1 Vanquish in it for some reason, and 1 Don't Get Cocky. I don't know why JJ did that, but we're going to talk about that in just a minute on our 4 cost segment. All right. Welcome back. This is our 4 cause segment. This is kind of our 4 fun segment. We're just going to kind of be... This is our 4 fun segment. We're just going to kind of be messing around, doing some fun things. We decided this week we'd say, these are the decks that we've been playing around with. We're going to go with JJ's first, because he has a blue Cad Bane, which I'll be honest, I've not seen a blue Cad Bane deck in the wild. So we're going to go with a blue Cad Bane deck. JJ, tell us what your blue Cad Bane deck is doing and what you're trying to accomplish.
So this blue Cad Bane deck is mainly taking advantage of the Underworld keyword on here. The biggest cards here that I use are mainly Lady Proxima. Lady Proxima in my initial playthrough when I was doing the pre-release weekend was just super, super strong. And I wanted to kind of build a deck around that, just using a lot of Underworld keywords just to help trigger Cad Bane's ability a lot more often. So to fill up this list here, we start off with 2 wanted bounties, 2 unexpected escapes, 2 McClunkies, which is super fun. I love that card. 2 bounty guild initiates, 2 Lady Proximas, 2 rich rewards, 2 cartel spacers, 2 no good to me dead cards, 2 Pike Sentinels, 2 Cloud Riders, 1 copy of the sorry, my screen just messed up for a second here. There we go. Sorry. 2 unrefusable offers, 1 outmaneuver, 2 waylays, 2 embos, 2 frontier traders, 2 frozen and carbonites, 2 smugglers, starfighters, 2 black sun enforcers, 3 copies of the Gamorrean guards, 1 Don't Get Cocky, 1 Forlom, 2 Tobias Beckett's, 1 Vanquish, 2 Boss, 2 Slaver Frontiers, 1 copy of Zuckuss, 2 Xanadu Bloods, 1 Emphas Nest, and 1 Kragan to round this off here. So this has a little bit of everything. I do have 1 copy of Vanquish and 1 copy of Don't Get Cocky, as I tend to not use those cards as often, and if I do, they're just like one-offs, because I do want to keep my board filled with units. The way I play this card is I'm building up a screen to allow Cad Bane to come in. And that's why I have quite a bit of Gamorrean guards and a couple of Sentinels out there just to help Cad Bane have a screen, so that way he's not directly attacked. And that way from there, I can work on getting a lot more other units. If I can get a lot of ambush cards out there, that's preferable, because I can start keeping my opponent's ground game low. And it does help, especially with the G1A, that when it's deployed, it gives a unit a -3 for their attack. So that does help me reduce a key like sentinel piece on the opponent's side from being able to deal damage, and then in return I can punch through a lot of damage with a lot of my units that have ambush on there. Definitely Forlom and Zuckuss are really, really good together when they do come out. And Bosk is such a great cheap piece at 5 for him to come out and just ambush and deal damage directly. And all of this, all these cards with the Underworld keywords, I can essentially use McClunky to draw a unit that's been heavily damaged but not defeated to come out and then deal 3 damage from there. And if Cad Bane's deployed on the board, I'm doing 2 additional damage for when I play that card back. So I'm just dealing damage everywhere across the board. Proxima also works very well in this deck, as she's dealing damage directly to the base every time I'm playing on the world card. And since these units are relatively cheap, I don't have to put in too much of an investment for resources. I'm very comfortable around the 6 to 8 resource, just depending on how many cards I want to play from my hand at that point. And that allows me to have a steady amount of cards that I can play from my hand and deal damage as they're coming out. So yeah.
So the first question I have for you is which card is the best card the card that gets you the best value?
For sure, Lady Proxima. She is so cheap at 1, and her ability, even though she's not doing damage directly herself with any attacks, she's either going to be a unit that if my opponent decides to attack it, it's keeping one of my other units safe. I don't deploy her by herself. Like, she's not one of the first cards I play. I usually play her behind a screen of other more threatening units. But she just deals, once my combo goes up and I have a lot of cards going in and out as I need to, she just adds that value to my deck, and she can deal a lot of damage on her own just from the sheer amount of Underworld cards that I can play.
So you want to hear a funny thing? That Lady Proxima, I played against somebody that put that in a Ray deck. Like,
Yeah.
they had like a Ray yellow Underworld deck. Like, they didn't win, but they did have one, and they had Lady Proxima, and I was just like, all right, I can see that, because Ray can buff Lady Proxima, right? Like, it becomes a 1/5, a 1/5, and then a 2/6, and then, like, if you don't kill it, it was doing some work. But the reason I asked you that question is because if that's the case, if that does you the most, you should include 3 of that one, right? Because, like, if that one is I have found that Lady Proxima, if I put her on the table, somebody just kills her. They will literally eat damage to the base. They just kill her immediately. Like, she does almost nothing for me when I play Underworld Cad Bane decks, only for the pure fact that people will literally just kill her instead of eating all that damage. But if she does really well in your deck, like, consider cutting. Let's say I would say Rich Reward would probably be what I would cut, and I would like put like another Lady Proxima in there, because I think I agree with you. I think if you could get her to go off, she's probably one of your better cards.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the reasons I kept Rich Reward is for that reason, right? If I end up killing that bounty or removing it, I'm able to buff like one of my cards with experience. And actually, one of the ones I do tend to put experience on is Lady Proxima, so that way she does eventually have attack that she can use there. Granted, a lot of this deck is vulnerable to capture effects. But I tend to have enough ambush in my deck that I can go in and take out units that do that. So, but yeah, I mean, it's a give and take. But yeah, I do agree. Like, I kind of want to cut some cards here and there from my deck just so I can add in a third Proxima, and just have her there, because she's just very, very useful.
Don't get cocky. I don't think you need that. It's a lot.
Yeah.
I don't understand why you have that card in there personally, but I know it works in certain types of decks.
Yeah.
I just don't know how you get it to work in this deck, I guess.
I mean, it's honestly something that should be a sideboard card, honestly, for me. And that's probably the card that I could essentially replace with a third Lady Proxima. But it's fun when it works. So, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else before we move on to what Alex has been playing?
Oh, go ahead.
All right. Alex has been playing a blue Ray deck, and not the shield one, folks. This one is a blue Ray deck that is all over the board with, I want to run a 30 health base, and I'm not going to shield anything. So, Alex, what is this deck?
Shields? Why would you run the 25 health one? What's worth it?
I don't know. People do.
You can't give it to Ray. It's non-leaders. That's the problem.
All right, Alex, what is your deck?
So this is a blue force-based Ray deck. So you have R2D2, my only non-blue card in here, but also an incredible first turn play with Ray, because then you just turn it into a 2/5 turn 1, which is a pain to deal with. It's got 2 covert strength, which is actually super good for Ray Leader herself. I mean, the more damage you can stack on Ray Leader, the scarier everything gets. So I just got triple Arc, triple Queel, who, if he doesn't hit R2D2, just draws you a card. Because every other card is blue. You got 3 Follow the Ways, because you just give it 1 token with the experience with Ray, and now it's a 3/5 or whatever, right? So that's terrifying. Triple Yoda, triple Jedi Lightsaber, triple Concord Dawn Interceptors, which are just bonkers, especially in Ray.
Mm-hmm.
Triple Kanan, triple Vigilance, double Second Chance, which I'll get to later. Triple Ray unit, triple Survivor's Gauntlet, which is super funny in this deck because when you play it or on attack, you can swaps from upgrades around, so you can start leeching off experience tokens with Ray, and then swinging it with Ray and giving back the experience tokens. So you just have like more experience going around, or if you want to swap off your Jedi
Second
lightsabers,
chance.
or if they throw a bounty on you, you can move that to a different unit that you don't mind losing, or like they can't have access to because it's like a space unit and they don't have any space units. It's actually sneaky good in this deck. Triple Obi, triple Bendu, insane. Triple Rivals Fall, triple Luke unit, and then double Redemption. Those second chances. So Ray unit and Bendu is silly because Ray can just heal 2 from Bendu and give him a shield every time she attacks. And Bendu's, a Force 7 Sentinel. And that's tough to get through. And then Bendu can attack to make Vigilance 2 or Second Chance 2, Rivals Fall 4. Really scary stuff. And then you can put Second Chance on Bendu, so like when he dies, you just bring him back for free. Just continue the cycle. Or you can give it to Luke, so when Luke dies, you could just put Luke back put Luke back out, and Luke died, so he gives someone -6/-6.
Yep.
Yeah, it gets really scary.
Yeah, which is funny because were you the one that told me Second Chance was trash? Who's the one that somebody told me Second Chance is trash? I thought it was you, but I can't remember.
No, I said it's really good in a Blue Gar Saxon deck where you can continue infinitely bouncing it back up into your hand.
Yeah, it's the second card that you get with Gar Saxon Blue, because you also get that Brutal Expectations or whatever. So now you got 2 cards that you're just continually
Brutal
bringing back.
Traditions and Second Chance is scary at Blue Gar.
Yeah, I actually was playing that Second Chance in my Iden Blue deck just for funds, and then I was like, oh my god, this card's actually like a lot better than I thought it was going to be, because like, oh no, you killed my Chilson and I haven't played anything but that card. I played that card, and oh, guess what? I've got all blue cards in my hand again. So like, here you go.
It's very good in very, very specific types of decks.
Obviously, yeah.
And that's about it. But yeah, pretty much everything in here just heals you stuff, and you just outlast them. Like your secondary win con is you can just mill them out because you have triple vigilance.
And I'm assuming you're using units to take down their units, correct? Like you're using your trading units with theirs.
Yeah, because your units tend to have significantly higher health because they have low attack. So like you have a weakness of there's not a crazy amount of attack, but there's a ton of restore. And you will generally just outlast everything until you can stick like a Luke and drop a Jedi lightsaber or something on them. I have a side deck that I didn't put in here. That's just like triple Fell the Dragon, triple Cloud City Wingguard, double the Space Sentry unit, and like double make an opening for additional healing.
Yeah, and I think the make an opening has to be side with the blue in case you run into that stupid lurking TIE Phantom.
Yep.
So, like, it's just a must. Though I'll tell you, you know what's disgusting with that lurking TIE Phantom?
Stacking experience tokens on it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Makes Tarkin very useful.
Yep, Tarkin finally found a place in the meta, huh?
Yeah.
I had a local who'd always like top 4 with a green Tarkin deck.
It has made its rounds. I won't lie. I won't lie and say it has made its rounds. But I had not tried that Tarkin deck. But I think I would. So,
yeah, this is right. It heals. It has a ton of Sentinel everywhere.
It's an Alex deck.
Yeah, it's fine. It has some weaknesses. Again, it doesn't like attack for too much. But I mean, you have triple Rivals Fall. What are you worried about?
Exactly. Yeah.
drawing that card and not waiting for it to be on the bottom of your bloody deck. All right. Well, the irony here is the next deck that we're gonna go over is I've been playing around with a couple of different decks. I have like 4 of them that I've been playing around. So everybody knows the Kira deck that I've been playing. We did a deck tech video on it. You can check it out in our YouTube channel. That is a YouTube exclusive. So if you are 100% only listening to us on the podcast, we are doing a YouTube exclusive stuff right now with deck techs. So if you like deck techs, we've only got one so far. We've only done one. Alex and I should have done a Pelp one. We didn't do one before, but now I feel more comfortable in doing deck techs. So we will be putting out a few more deck techs here and there, find some really good decks that we like. But today is a for fun segment, so I wanted to throw this at you. I was going to give you the Lando deck, but I haven't had as much success with Lando as I've had with this Kylo deck. And then I gave the Kylo deck to my son and told him to tweak it because sometimes he builds better decks than I do. So this is a Kylo aggression deck. The idea behind the deck is you have to get Kylo, you got to keep your board somewhat clear and then basically be able to build your Kylo up in one turn. And you can do a couple of different ways, right? Like you can get rid of all your cards. There's a lot of resource cards in here. So like Reckless Gunslinger and the Blaster, those are really good resource specific cards. When that Blaster comes out on Kylo, it does cost 5. So if you want to be able to use that for it, you have to wait to play Kylo to a later turn. But you could play it on him. You could just hold it in your hand and play it on him turn 1, right? And then you have a turn 1 play for 1 cost that could go on any of your units. It's really good for that. But here's the deck. It is 3 Death Star Troopers, 3 Reckless Gunslingers, or whatever they're called. I call them Gunslingers. They are Gunslingers, right? Okay,
hey, you had it right.
Okay, I did. I don't know. This somebody over here that gave me a glaring look. So, then you have 3 Hotshot Blasters, 3 Daring Raids, 3 Vader's Lightsaber, which I'm excited to play that in a non-Vader deck. 2 Wolves, 3 Kylo Silencers, 3 Bo-Katan, which by the way, in a double red, Bo-Katan is so awesome. Turn 1, like holy crap. Then you have 3 MiGs, 3 Armed to the Teeth, 3 of the Mercenary Gunships, 3 Fallen Lightsabers, 3 Death Watch Loyalist, 3 Punishing Ones, 3 of the Curse, the Chance of War, 3 Chaos of War, the 3 Aggressions, and 3 Nexus. So your Nexus are pretty good in there as well. Because everything's red and like it works really like hitting for 6. Like you could take out, as long as you have another unit, you could take out, right? Like anything that has 6 health on it. Like you could take out most of the stuff coming out turn 5. You could take out almost like half the leaders with that stupid thing. It's actually really for a common, that's a really good common. Like in an all red deck.
It's really nasty and sealed.
Yeah. So obviously the idea is basically to build your Kylo up, right, and not lose Kylo. So like you could play multiple Fallen Lightsabers, but you can only play 1 Vader's lightsaber. But you can also play the Fallen Lightsabers, right, from your, you could play them on any of your other units. The Death Watch Loyalists are just so good because of the fact that you can literally just take them and give them that Fallen Lightsaber and then let them go to town. I don't know how good the deck is personally, but I know like Double Aspect has been something I've been interested in since set 1. I played obviously the Iden Blue and I played Pelp Green, and Crispy turned me on a little bit to the Vader Red. I was playing that towards the end of set 1, and I kind of just feel this is more fun to play than Vader Red was. And I think there's probably a couple of tweaks. I don't know if I really like that stupid Mercenaries gunship. I don't know. That thing drives me nuts because people steal it from me and then I get angry. And I shouldn't get angry because they just wasted 4 resources stealing it. But sometimes it feels bad. And so I don't know. There's probably a better ship that I could put in there. But kind of similar to Alex's deck, that is the only neutral card in that whole deck. Everything else is red. So When am I going to get my Queel for red?
Yeah, it's pretty similar to like a red Kylo that I've built. I mean, obviously hers are a little bit different. I don't know. I have force throws in mine because one, it removes, like, you can use it to remove your own card to deal damage to someone, which works really well with Kylo. But also, like, you can, it works with MiGs too.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and you're right. It's probably a good card to put in there.
It's a nice like tack, especially. I mean, I got like Fifth Brother in there as well, but you know, Kylo's a force unit, so you can still have the damage dealing effect. Why don't you have Fifth Brother?
I don't know.
Oh,
I don't.
okay.
Yeah, that was going to be my question too.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know.
Yeah, or Seven Sister, but yeah.
No, Seven Sister is a little bit high for what he's going here, but I don't know. Fifth Brother seems right up there. He's 2/4 and he deals a ton of damage the more damage he takes.
Yeah, and a lot of it was, so it could fit in there. Like, I don't know, the Reckless Gunslingers are in there for in-game is what they're really there for. And you could probably put the Fifth Brothers in there and they would probably be fine. Or you could substitute Wolves out. The Wolf is in there right as a Saboteur. That's really the main reason that Wolf's in there. And the big thing is like if they put a Sentinel down, you have Wolf down, you could throw a card and he's a 5/2 and he just doesn't care.
I mean, he also stops them from healing, which I think is very important in this kind of deck.
That too, yes. Yeah,
that's pretty big.
Yeah, I have found very bad luck in the control decks with this, but you could go wide, like a little bit wider with it. Like I don't know. You're probably right. The Fifth Brother is probably better suited to be in there, but the idea is basically you're winning by turn 5. Like by turn 5, you should have their base down to like a couple of health, and like I found that if they want outside of the ECL, like ECL's been a little bit harder, but even with ECL, I could get there in like 4 to 5 turns. Especially when Kylo has no cards in hand and has a Vader's lightsaber and a Fallen lightsaber on him. If you haven't killed my units and I've been able to like slow play and I've got the 2 cards left, I'll flip Kylo and play both of those, and I'll hold Kylo 1 turn to specifically be able to play both of those. And if you don't have something to deal with it, Kylo is just he's hitting you for 11 damage. And if you don't take him off the board the next turn, sorry, buddy. Like that is now an 8 health Kylo. That's an 11/8 Kylo. Like you better take that damn thing off the board. But you do have to wait till you have 5 resources. So I don't know. It's a fun deck.
And mine's actually even a lower curve than yours. and I have Tarkin Town, just because, you know, if you don't win, you might as well run the lower caustic base, right? Like it's an all or nothing kind of strategy. And that just helps like finish off units, and also very good against Red Han, which I can imagine would be kind of a rough matchup for you in this. Oh,
it is. I have not won against Red Han at all.
Yeah. Tarkin Town helps a lot with that.
Yeah. So anyway, that was our For a Cause segment. That's kind of just some of the decks we've been playing. I won't lie and tell you there's other decks. Don't tell my wife, but I did play some Carabas when she did not get. I got up earlier in the day sometimes to play some Carabas. Typically our family's a later vacation people, like, and my kids would stay up to like midnight, and then none of them would be up before 10 o'clock. And so sometimes Chris couldn't sleep and got up about 9:30, 10 o'clock and played some Carabas for a couple hours till the kids got up. I guess I probably could have done something better with my time than that, but I don't know. I was playing around a little bit here and there with some new decks. I've actually been playing Gideon, and I'm here to tell you there's some legs there that were not there before, but we'll get to that in a different day. I don't want to spend a whole another half hour going over decks we have not vetted. So, all right, why don't we do our Academy 101 segment. Tonight, our Academy 101 segment is going to cover how does Scanning Officer affect your resources. We thought it would be fun to kind of do it'll probably be a pretty short segment, but we thought we'd do a quick short segment on Academy Officer, we do a quick short segment on Scanning Officer, because Scanning Officer is, I believe, an underrated card that a lot of green decks are not 100% utilizing, and as we see Smuggle become a big thing, this will be a big include in a lot of decks. I have been using it in green Pelp personally as a replacement because it's an officer and it works really well with my Royal Emperor's Royal Guards. So I like it. It's a 2 cost and it has like a benefit to it on top of that. I kind of wish this was a double green. But I also personally do not play a million times a smuggle personally outside of my Lando deck. I don't have a lot of smuggle that I play. And I think this officer is going to be very important coming up. So why don't we do our Academy 101 discussion on scanning officer? How does it affect your resources? All right. Welcome back to our Academy training segment. We are going to be discussing the scanning officer, how it affects your resources, because it gets rid of them. So it does technically affect your resources, and what you should be doing to play with it. The reason I wanted to have it is because there were some questions that kind of came up in pre-release and during pre-release weekend. And I thought what would be a good idea is let's have a short little segment where we could talk a little bit about what scanning officer does, how you're allowed to rearrange your resources, what you're not allowed to do, and the official clarification from AMG. Alex, tell me, what does scanning officer say on their card?
So scanning officer is a 2 cost, just green unit. It's for 2/3. It's an Imperial and an officer, which we said is lovely. When played, you reveal 3 enemy resources. Defeat each resource with smuggle keyword revealed that way. For each resource defeated this way, the controller puts the top card of their deck into play as a resource. And remember, anything that comes into play, especially resources, they come in exhausted. So if you manage to defeat some of theirs, you actually like gimp them for that turn.
Yes, and that's exactly why this came up, is because people were upset that you could take a readied resource and essentially make it exhausted, right? So the first question that kind of came up is, can you rearrange your resources at any time? All right, well, that's a valid question, I guess. The second question is, can you change which resources are ready and which are exhausted at any time as long as you keep the same count of spent resources? The third question that kind of came up is, may I shuffle my ready and exhausted resources together, let scanning officer resolve, and then put the remaining resources back as I choose, as long as I maintain the exhausted state of spent resources? So the idea behind this, and the reason this question came up, is because scanning officer replaces the resource, like Alex said, right? Like, you get a resource that comes in if any of the smuggled ones are discovered. Then you might not want one of your resources to be exhausted if it is defeated. Therefore, you want to be able to shuffle them. They also one of the reasons that kind of came up was, can I shuffle them so that I have a chance of them not hitting the smuggled card when it's defeated? Another reason that I was given was, if I cannot shuffle them, then being able to put my smuggle resources as exhausted, even if they were not previously exhausted, prevents me from getting another exhausted resource, right? Sorry, that's an extra thing. That's why this card is actually above curve for 2 costs. This is a very above resource cost card. Anyway, long story short is, let's go around the room. JJ, what do you think? Do you think you're able to shuffle all your resources, both ready, not ready?
So I mean, we did have something similar come up in my in one of my events that I went to for pre-release, where the question had come up to the TO if they can look at their resources to arrange them before they were spent, so that way it's just easier for them to choose a smuggle card when they're going to deploy it. So that way they're not wasting time searching through all their decks, because multiple times there were times where, some players had resourced about, 10 to 11 different resources, and they're like spending time flipping cards, and, the opponent would get a little upset because they felt like they were wasting time, going through their hand constantly, to pull out smuggle cards. And the T-Hut had stated that yes, they can, as long as they are not taking additional time in delaying the game. They can essentially arrange their resources to before like the round goes on to allow us their section of smuggle cards that are resourced to be put like arranged to the left, and the other ones, or the rest of them arranged next to them, as long as all the resources were visible to the opponent, so that way they can see how many resources they had available to spend during that turn. So in the spirit of that, I would say, yeah, they could technically shuffle it. I mean, I don't see the reason why. I mean, especially if you're trying to do it randomly. I mean, if the card itself doesn't allow for you to take a look at the resource so that way you can choose, then it should be random at that point. So at that point, you can gather the affected resource cards and shuffle them, and then just do one randomly at that point. So that's how I would believe it would be interpreted. So yeah.
Alex, what do you think?
I mean, I do judge a lot of events. It's hidden information. You can shuffle it as long as you're not like delaying the game more. But when your opponent plays a scanning officer, I have no reason to believe you wouldn't be able to shuffle your cards. I would also recommend not making it immediately obvious that you, one, have smuggle cards, or two, which one they are, going against your opponent for that. But that's on you at that point.
Fair enough. All right. So the FFG rules document says the order of cards in a player's resource zone does not need to be maintained. A player may rearrange those cards at any times. Hence why this actually became a bigger question, because people were like, well, I should just be able to shuffle them so you don't know which ones they are. So Tyler, one of the developers, actually said, no, players can reorganize their resources as they want, but the ready resource status of each individual resource cannot be changed. So you could say, I want the card you so you could not say, I want the card you resourced round 2, but you could grab exclusively any of the ready resources. So to answer the large looming question, yes, you can shuffle these cards at any time you want, but you got to keep them separate. So if you've got 5 resources, let's say, and you've got 2 exhausted and 3 ready, you cannot rearrange them at any time. Like, you cannot go, well, I'm going to take these 2 unready ones and stick them over here and move 2 other ones over there. You cannot do that. This also prevents you from being able to do that, right? So that basically if you have a card that you were going to play that's smuggled, and you're like, well, I really want to be able to exhaust a smuggled resource to be able to play my card, blah, 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 to bring one in, you can't, you just can't do that. If you accidentally already smuggled it, you got to use another resource. To answer the second question, no, you must keep them separate. You cannot intermingle them. They are not allowed to intermingle. They have to be maintained separate. To answer the third question, no, they must remain in the same game state and only be shuffled in their groups. So, if I play Scanning Officer and Alex has got 5 resources, Alex has the right to shuffle them, but he's got to shuffle both piles separately. I would say now we could kind of talk a little bit about what's better game state, right? Rules or logic, and then what's actually better as an individual to play. I don't know, Alex, if you're playing, are you gonna put your smuggle cards exhausted first, or are you gonna play mind games with people and just be like, you get to pick and figure out which ones they are?
I mean, it's effectively random either way, right? So just I'll go ahead. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, like it's. I mean, I guess if I know they have Scanning Officer and I know I'm not going to use literally every single resource, I might exhaust one of my smuggle cards I'm intending on playing that turn. But that's like a lot of effort for something that's like, I don't know. Yeah, it sucks that you played it. It is what it is.
Yeah. And I think if we see more Scanning Officer, this rule is going to become a bigger question. And the reason I wanted to cover it tonight is because we saw this in pre-release. now that we're through the first weekend of Set 2 release, this is going to become a thing. I run a lot of Scanning Officer. I don't know about anybody else, but I like to run Scanning Officer quite a bit, and that's because I like to mess with people's resources. And I think that's one of the reasons why I was more interested in this question and rules clarification from FFG. So logically, it's kind of up to you. JJ brought up at the beginning, through his example, he said, hey, they wanted to know, can they put all of their smuggle cards on the left and their non-smuggle cards on the right? Absolutely. But if you're a good player and you figure out that somebody is doing that, I'll tell you what, when you play a smuggle card, I pay attention to where you played it from. If you play a smuggle card from the right-hand side, I'm probably going to that right-hand side more often. If you play 2 from the right-hand side, I'm definitely choosing that because somebody thought it was a good idea to put all their smuggle cards on the left. I will tell you what I personally do. I just play the cards down personally, and I don't care, and I just peek at them. I set my cards aside. That's my deck, and I put a little token on it, and if I want to look to see if I have smuggle cards, I do it. And Tanner is the crazy guy that will look at his cards even if he doesn't have smuggle cards in there on purpose. And I did that during pre-release more than one time. And somebody played a Scanning Officer on me and it didn't do anything. I was like, I don't have any smuggle cards. He's like, why were you looking at your cards? In case you play Scanning Officer. And he's like, that's a dick move. And I was like, well, I'm just saying, you still got a 2-3 unit on the board, whatever. It didn't do anything for you. But anyway, so I think it's a good thing to know. And I wanted to make sure people were aware of what the interactions were, so you knew if you went into tournaments coming up. I know we're gonna have Store Champs, we got Gen Con coming up, there's gonna be more tournaments coming up, especially as they start releasing their actual organized play schedule for tournament structures in the next coming months. I wanted everybody to know about this. Either way, thank you all for joining us for our Academy 101 segment on Scanning Officer and why it does affect your resources, even though Alex doesn't like to.
It literally does not affect your own resources. It affects your opponents. Just your opponents.
Okay, whatever. Affects resources. There you go. All right, why don't we get into the last segment? We're gonna talk a little bit about rules, I think, right? So we have our Holocron Mark segment essentially talks a little bit about competitive play. This may be a little bit boring for players that are not in a competitive play, but there was some rules changes that came out this week, and I guess we didn't talk about any of the other rules changes ahead of time, but I really wanted to specifically get into rules changes that are going to affect competitive play, because as you're prepping for Gen Con, this is an important thing. As you're prepping for Store Champs, this becomes an important thing, and there was, in my opinion, there was enough rules changes that it warranted us doing a small segment around it. All right, welcome to our Holocron Archives segment tonight. We are going to be discussing the competitive play rules changes that came out from Shadows of the Galaxy Set 2 of Star Wars Unlimited. So, Alex, I don't know, Alex or JG, did either of you have a chance to go through any of the rules at all before we met tonight?
I did.
Just some of the early stuff. I was actually looking specifically at the sleeves and the game mats. I thought those are kind of interesting, mainly because I don't think, and specifically for the card sleeves, I don't think I've ever seen a card sleeve that makes the card art obstructed. I don't know why you would buy one like that, but I guess it must have happened and they had to put it in writing. So,
Alex, did you have a chance to read through these too?
Oh yeah, I read them all.
Awesome. Well, cool. Well, that'll be good. I want to thank, I believe his name is Kyle.
Yep.
I won't say his last name just in case he doesn't want his last name mentioned, but Kyle from the east side of Michigan actually put all these screenshots together in our Discord. So all the credit goes to him for putting all of the changes together. It was super nice because I didn't actually have to go through and find all of them. I was alerted that this happened and I was freaking out because I didn't have it. Today was my only prepare day with being on vacation. And then I noticed that he posted a bunch of them. So it was very nice of him to do that for our group. And now we're sharing it with you. So thank you, Kyle, so much for doing it. So as JJ referenced, the very first one was sleeves with artwork are permitted. However, for featured games during live streams, sleeves are required to be solid colors with no artwork or officially licensed limited sleeves. that is new. Originally, we could play with whatever sleeves we want. This is probably
Originally, you could not play with whatever sleeves you wanted.
but then they changed it. They
Yeah.
changed it. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay,
They
you're being
changed it to
pedantic.
this.
pedantic. And then a judge may determine if the sleeves are inappropriate or not. Which I'm guessing basically if you bring porno sleeves, they're not appropriate. So just don't. I don't know. Just don't bring them. I guess it's just like just don't do it. I don't
But
know.
my waifu Vader sleeves.
I don't know what those are because I have not seen them. Please don't show them on camera.
I don't have them, but I want one.
Okay. So yeah. So whatever. That's. I don't know. I don't understand. To me, that's an easy change. They talk about game mats. They also basically said for featured games, basically live streams, game mats are required to be solid colors, with no artwork on them, or officially licensed Star Wars mats. This originally was you could only use Star Wars mats. Then it changed to be anything that was not offensive, and now it's changing to this. I'm not opposed to this personally. I was very opposed to it not being allowing me to play whatever mat I want. To me, this feels like if you run a stream for games, you should just provide 2 mats. I don't know. That's what we do for X-Wing. So I don't know. Maybe to me, this is not a big deal either. I don't know. But again, don't bring in an inappropriate mat. And the reason that you can't,
Luke Skywalker mat,
like that one that I've never seen and I don't want to see. So, or I don't want to see on camera at least. So just don't have an inappropriate mat. I mean, this is a game that kids can. I take my nephew. My nephew's 13. I don't need my nephew getting any more ideas than he can get on his own. Let him do that on his own and not something. Don't bring stuff to the bloody tournament that I have to deal with later on. Single game matches is exclusively used for casual tier events. All right. I didn't know that needed to be stated before, but I guess it does. All pre-release events are supposed to utilize single game match play. I went to four pre-release events, and at least one of them didn't use best of one. So this is definitely new. I don't know if that affects anything.
Almost all of them. I went to 6. 5 of them was best of 3.
Yeah.
So that does. I don't like best of 1 for sealed either, because like your decks aren't optimized. They're not built for consistency. So like you can just get like really screwed really fast and just drop a game. So
yeah. Then it does say store showdown events can be single game match or best of 3. So at least they left us with that, because I would really hate to have store showdowns with best of ones. I won't lie and say that I would go to one of those, but I'm sure as heck do not want to play one all the time. I would rather be playing best of 3. But that's just, again, maybe the competitive player in me is just that person. The next change was store showdowns can utilize best of 3 matches depending on the store's needs. Okay, that's basically ruled above. They added a note regarding initiative at the beginning of the first game of a best of 3 randomly determined match. Randomly determine a player. That player then chooses who starts with initiative. I think that's a change, correct, Alex? Because I thought before it was supposed to be whoever rolled or whoever became it got the initiative had to go first.
yes, and now they changed that, which makes a lot more sense, because like there's certainly times where you don't want to go first, especially if you have like Jabba and you want to give the bounty to whatever. So
yeah,
or Tarkin.
So
yeah.
So I don't know. I think that's a very important change personally. And I'll be honest, when we played our store showdowns, we always just let people choose. I did not enforce you had to have it, because that seemed horrible. Because it's like, what if you didn't want to go first? I don't know. Seemed crazy. Round timer. During a top cut, this is extended to 75 minutes. During Swiss, if time is called between games during a best of 3 match, players are tied for games 1, then both players receive a loss. So we'll go back to the first one. The first change is if you have a top cut, best of 3 is now 75 minutes. that's huge because I will tell you how many I ran 2-star showdowns and I couldn't time them. And one of them, there's a couple of games where they were like more controlling players playing more control style. And yeah, it took a little bit longer than Tanner wanted to be there that day, especially because I was running it and it's fun. I like to see players have fun, but we got to have some sort of a, I don't know. And maybe I'm just used to X-Wing, right? Like I'm the guy from X-Wing that knows Top Cut doesn't, none of the games matter. You get a time. That's it. It's always a time limit. So I don't know. I'm excited by that one. I don't know, why did they add this? During Swiss, if times are called, it's a loss for each match. I thought that was already there.
Yeah, that was already there. I could tell you that during the pre-release events, nobody ever reported a tie. They just tend to roll off, and both players would agree to, have the chance to at least take the win on a roll off. And yeah.
Oh, most of my locals just say, "Screw it, we're just both getting a loss."
Oh my god,
which I love.
Oh man, don't go play on the east side of Detroit, folks. Holy crap!
No, almost every single tournament there was someone who's just like, "No, I will take the double loss. We're taking the double loss."
Yeah, I think during the tournament is different than the pre-release event, though, Alex. Like pre-release events are casual events. Like I gave a guy a win, and I probably could have won if we had another 3 rounds, but I wasn't gonna do that to the guy. Whatever. I don't care. Like.
Oh, I got pre-release too. Doesn't matter.
I did not. I was nice about mine.
Tie's a tie, man.
So then it says, during Top Cut, if time is called and players are tied for games 1, the winner of the match is determined in a different way based on which games. I'm assuming it's supposed to say game state players are in. If the players are in a game 1 or game 3 when time is called, the winner of the match is the person with the most remaining health on their base after the final action phase. If both players have the same amount of health on their base, then it's initiative. So, all right. Cool, I guess. If time is called during game 2, though, the final action phase both results in both players having each won 1 game. The winner of the match is the player who had the most health on their base in the game they actually won. So now we got to actually track that. That was not a tracked thing before. Yeah. You have to track that. I don't know. This rule also applies if the time is called between games 2 and 3 before setup of game 3 is complete. So again, folks, that is it. To me, that's a big thing. Like you really got to pay attention to that in a set. Now that we're doing 75-minute rounds, it's a bigger thing. I don't know how I feel about this rule. It's whatever to me, I guess. I don't know. I'll abide by it. I don't care. Am I allowed to say I don't care on stream? Is that like an allowed thing? I don't know. I'm used to X-Wing. We're very cutthroat in X-Wing. So like whatever. Like I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of rough deciding by base health because there's so many games where I'm just like, yeah, I know I'm behind, but my deck is an endgame deck, and I'm just gonna just stomp them like the moment I hit 8 resources.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, fine. We all know that going in.
Yeah, I think it makes it a difference. I will say that there was a couple of games I played during Source Showdowns where we were on game 3 and we knew we had less than 10 minutes to play. And both of us prioritized attacking the base over units, which made the game go super freaking fast. It was whoever could put down the most units. So that's how it came down to.
One of my locals, we did actually very close to this for the final rounds. In the playoffs, we're just like, okay, if it goes to time, we're going to determine whoever has the most, whoever did the most damage to the other person's base. So we implemented this rule before this rule was a thing.
All right. So I think it is what it is. I don't know. We'll see how it plays out in the more, if we see a more control style meta. I think the difference is as people get used to things, when you get into higher level tournaments, I don't think this is as big of a thing as often. I do think it shows up, but I don't know how often it's going to show up. So the next one is the randomizer. We actually already talked about this. I don't know why I threw this in there twice. But basically per deck rules, you determine initiative, you get to pick. So They did. I don't know if this was in here. Randomizer results to be valid, it has to be a coin or a dice, and it must lay flat on the table, and you're not allowed to touch it. I don't remember that being in there, but I also don't remember exactly how that it had. I don't like the coin. I will tell you right now. I ask for dice. I actually carry dice now specifically.
Yep, same here.
For that, for the roll off. I like how it says if the die lands on an angle.
I was at Galaxy's Edge and I like kicked myself because I completely forgot to buy myself a chance cube, and that way I can just have that for my my roll off, my randomizer.
I played someone who had a chance cube actually, and that was fun.
All right, now I want to know what a chance cube is. So find out what it. So send me a picture.
One. It's what Qui-Gon rolls.
Die.
Oh, yeah. I don't remember that. All right, I like that. That's cool. Where do you get those at?
I've only ever seen them at Galaxy's Edge, but I'm sure you could find that on like online.
Yeah, I'm sure they're everywhere. Just a little chance cube.
If the next kind of clarification that I put in there, if the opponent does not believe that they randomize their deck correctly, they should notify a judge. If the opponent shuffles the deck's owner may cut it afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
So if I shuffle your deck, Alex, you can then cut it.
Yeah, because
whatever,
you have a possibility of stacking my deck, so I want to ensure that you're doing the same thing that I just did.
Okay, all right, whatever. I guess to me this should never have to be said, because it's like if you shuffle. The way I saw it is if you shuffle a deck, I get to cut it. If I shuffle a deck, you get to cut it. Like, there should be no difference during the game. I don't know.
Yeah, that's just what it's saying.
Okay. All right. I don't think there was anything else in there. Tiebreakers. I think we talked about. Oh, the tiebreakers changed, right? The tiebreaker scenario changed. That's correct, isn't it? Because originally it was this weird, vague, odd number of people in there. You receive a buy, yada, yada,
yeah, they got
yada.
rid of the uneven cut rules.
Yes. Okay, that was a big change. So yeah, so now you don't have this where you have to bring everybody up. They're doing it specifically. I must have missed a slide or something, but you're doing it specifically based on the fact that, like, whatever, if it's top 8, it's just the top 8. You don't have to bring in the bottom 20 people to make a top 8, for Christ's sake.
Right, because that was a massive pain.
Yeah, well, I will tell you, we 100% I think we had that argument on this podcast, you and I did. I think we did not agree with each other on what we should be doing, because I do not. To me, the way I read those uneven cut rules was, so if the cut was to top 8, and you had 5 and O's and 4 1s, and then you had 4 3 and 2s, and that it made you at 10. Only the 4 3 and 2s actually had to play in, whereas people were making the 4 and 1s and the 3 and 2s do play-ins, and I felt that was wrong. I felt that was a violation of the way it was written. But
yeah, that happened at a couple of showdowns and stuff that I went to, and it's just like, that caused a lot of havoc, which I'm normally all about, but it was kind of a pain.
Yeah, so basically it's win-loss ratio, opponents win-loss ratio, and then opponents win-loss ratio. So essentially what they're doing is they're literally just going back to
normal strength of schedule stuff.
Strength of schedule and MOV. Well, it's not MOV, but whatever it would be for SWU. So, I don't know. Like, to me, that's better. Like, and that's cleaner, and that's what we're used to. And maybe at some point they could go through and develop better cut rules. I don't care. But I did not like the uneven cut rule. I did not like the fact that it added time into the day. It's just let's cut to the top and move on with our lives. And I won't lie and say, like, there's lots of people that feel slighted by it. I got eked out at least once out of a top 4 by being in 5th place showdown, and I had the same record as the guy in 4th place. But whatever, like, it is what it is. Like, again, we're used to this in X-Wing, so like, yeah, I don't know, exactly. Like, we're used to this. This is not anything new for us. So, I don't know. Was there any other rules changes I missed?
I don't think so. I mean, it's just
Yeah, that's it.
the omitting the uneven cut was pretty big of it.
Yeah, so that's nice. I'm excited that the uneven cut is gone, for it. So, but that'll conclude our Holocron Archives discussion on the competitive rules for competitive players. I don't know. Anything else you all want to cover? I think we're shorter than normal, but I think we've covered a lot of content tonight.
You know, there's not a lot of spoilers. You know, finally.
We're gonna get a month of reprieve from spoilers. How about that? So, I don't know if any bigger events coming up. I wish I'd held on to that store showdown kit that I had instead of doing it as a send off for set 1. I should have held on to it and done it as a bring your set 2 cards. Let's play a set 2 showdown meta, because I really want to know what this meta is going to shape up to be. I have a feeling. My feeling is that we're going to see a lot of Han. We're still going to see a lot of Sabine. We're actually going to see both Hans. Both Hans are going to make the one Han's going to make kind of a bigger showing. And Baby Han will kind of come back. I'm going to call him Baby Han. I don't care what it says. That's his new nickname, is Baby Han. You can't say Scum Han because only you, me, and JJ know what that means.
That's fine. I don't care about anyone else.
Baby Han. So I don't know. I don't think Sabine's gone from the meta personally.
Absolutely not.
I think Sabine got a little bit stronger, and I think Yellow Sabine is becoming a little bit crazier than we thought. There's some weird combos out there. There's like a Lando Tech combo with DJ that we didn't cover tonight. That's just silly and dumb. I don't know if it's going to be meta, right? I want Tech to be meta because I think Tech's one of the best things, period. But nobody agrees with me on Tech. But I think this Tech DJ combo is crazy. And in some of these decks, it's just oh my gosh, what the heck? I don't know. I will tell you, as a Pelt player, it was very sad when somebody stole my resource so I couldn't flip Pelt. I was not a very happy Pelt player. I was like, oh, that's what DJ does. Okay, well, no wonder he's a legendary. Now I understand why people I understand what DJ's meant to do.
I mean, he's definitely 100% not the crux of a mono yellow Han deck that I have.
I bet he is.
For me, I think
play him and dump the resource that I steal from you with Han's ability.
Yeah, screw you. That's nasty.
For me, honestly, I think we're going to see a lot more Kylo and Rey builds. I think Red Rey actually has some legs. She can definitely do some pretty good work from some of the builds that I've been seeing there. Definitely need some tweaks on there, but I think that there's definitely a space for Rey to shine with Red. And Kylo as well. He has some great pieces, especially with green or even blue. If you wanted to include Rey in the deck, although I think I will probably go more green with Kylo. That's probably gonna make some meta staples. So yeah.
All right, fair enough. With that being said, we're going to wrap the show up for tonight. Thank you all so much for joining us for Planning Phase Syndicate. If you haven't yet, and you're listening to us on podcast, please give us a rating on your podcast catcher. I would love to have ratings. Positive ratings, preferably, but you could leave whatever you want. There's no pressure. If you're watching us on YouTube or watching some of the clips on YouTube, check out some of our other videos. We are going to have another Deck Tech video coming this week. I have one I've been prepping already. And we will be talking a little bit more about why the stupid lurking TIE Phantom is a card that feels like it's going to be a meta changer more than originally even I thought. I thought it was going to be a good card, but I've been playing it in some of my decks and it's just really stupid, silly.
You know how you beat it? Just have 8 Space Sentinels. It's easy.
That's true. You just gotta have a bunch of Space Sentinels, but your 8-cost Space Sentinel will not work, my friend. But anyway, we'll have another Deck Tech video coming out later this week. And so if you just listen to us on the podcast, if you want to subscribe to our YouTube channel, we post some of our other content on there. Not all the time is it different from the podcast, but it is sometimes different. So depending on what Alex or JJ or I feel up to doing. With that being said, thank you all. Have a good night. And we will see you on the Flippity Flop.
Have a good night, everybody.
Thanks for listening.